Back on MorningLine, thanks for joining us on this Thursday. Talking with two folks from the Greater Nashville Regional Council. With us this morning is Michelle Lacewell, right here, and Sara Fowler. Thank you for coming on, talking about services out there, especially this morning for seniors, conservatorships, Medicare counseling that's available out there. We're going to put phone numbers up there, 10Care, where you can call and get some of that help. If you want to join us, you can call in here as well, and Ann has. So let's take her phone call. Ann, good morning. Hi, Ann.
Good morning. I'm within 5 months of turning 66, and when I was in my 20s, was diagnosed with a major autoimmune disorder that I've dealt with throughout the years, which has caused me many times to have to pay out of pocket for medicines that were not deemed, that were still deemed experimental. Let me put it that way. And I freely paid the cost until it was a medicine that was FDA approved. Right now, I've been started on an injection, Enbrel, that is extremely expensive. I'm talking multiple thousands each month, and I'm enrolled in a program that covers that cost. My husband is fixing to turn 65. Can you help me with the process so that I don't fall out of the Enbrel program that covers the cost of my injections, and counsel me to stay in that program as well as make changes to what I already have and enroll my husband, not impacting the coverage that I already have, because there's no way I could cover the cost of the Enbrel.
Right.
I have sheltered the cost of all my medicines throughout the years and have freely done so. But this is one I could not do. And I know I'm like many, many people out there that are doing this and never understood the cost of these injections until I thought to start them this year. And it is many thousands a month. And unless you're enrolled in one of the programs, you can't cover the cost of these injections. So can you help people like me to make sure we don't lose these programs when we re-enroll in Medicare programs?
Thank you, Ann. Yeah, that's a question a lot have. And Enbrel is super expensive. So, okay, she's going to be looking at a new program, but she doesn't want to do anything to jeopardize what she's getting right now, and she has to deal with her husband now getting on board. Can you help?
That's what we want to do, and that's what we try to do. We are going to look at you and your husband, and we're going to give you the best scenarios for you to make that decision. Now, we talk with you through all of the different plans and what's best about each one. I don't like to make promises that yes, we can make sure that you're always enrolled in it and you have the coverage you need, because we can't control what the Medicare plans cover. But we're going to do our best to meet what your needs are, and that's the role of our counselors.
Sure.
That we all that's just the organization. I mean,
that's in essence what she's asking is exactly. So I don't know. I didn't know. Is that number we put up before the same one that they can call? So my next question for you is, okay, so where does Ann go? She calls you?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we can even set up a one-on-one consultation with her and her husband.
Either where they come in, or and this is free.
Yes.
It's free.
Yes.
All right. So, and the number's up there. She's put it at the bottom of the screen there. You see 255, is it 1010?
255-1010.
Yep. And then 836-6678. And if you take note of that, well, that's great. Because, her thing, that's what I've heard time and again when we've done these programs. People call in and say, well, I want to look for something else, but I'm wondering and I worry if I'm going to mess it up, that somehow I'll end up into something where Yeah, it sounds better, but I'm missing what I really needed.
And
that's scary because it's complicated.
The hardest part for us as counselors is when we get a call after they've been enrolled in a new plan because that insurance company told them it was the best one for them.
And then they find out.
Yes, because the insurance company was just showing them their plan, not all the plans possible. And once they're past that enrollment period, I mean, you can't re-enroll until the next year.
So that's why this is so crucial. And again, the dates of the enrollment, it opens up
October 15th and runs through December 7th.
Okay, so that's about to kick in here, and there is the information again on that open enrollment, how you go after that. But then maybe, is that the number?
That number will take you directly to the counseling line.
Oh, okay, so that's where Ann can call also.
Ann can call. Yes. Either one of these numbers is available to you.
Okay.
The 255-1010 number takes you to our information and assistance, which is our in-house helpline.
Yeah.
And so that can get you directly there too.
That's awesome. Well, that's the first number I'd call before I go. Is it a portal, or what do they call it when you go in to do the enrollment? You make your choice. Is it? I haven't done it.
Portal.
Is it online?
It's
you do it
online.
Yeah. And so before I go and mess with that in Medicare, okay, whether I'm starting from first time or changing, I'm going to call you guys, just to be sure.
Yes, and I think it's important to point out too that some folks don't, like Ann's situation is very typical of some of our counseling activity, and then there's others that just want us to just compare their prescription plans and give them feedback. And so we have worksheets that you can fill out and send to us, and then our volunteers and our staff can just compare your prescription plans and send it back to you. So, you know, whether you want really detailed, engaged counseling, or you want us to just provide a quick comparison of a detailed comparison of your prescription plans and give you feedback. So we can, you know, depending on how much engagement you want with us.
Right, and it's safe to say, unless a plan has gone away or your condition has changed radically, there's a lot of folks that'll just stay on the same plan year after year and may not need to make any change. Do they have to re-enroll if they're not making any changes? They just have to re-up, or if they just let it go as is?
My understanding is that it just continues.
Yeah, if you're happy with your existing one.
Now, I think it's worth, you may be happy with your existing plan, but not know if there's other options.
That maybe is a little more affordable.
Yeah, so I would, you know, for anyone that is on Medicare or that has family members that are on Medicare, to periodically, even if you think you're happy with your program, it's always good to check and just make sure there's not more options for you to take advantage of.
And are there, I don't know how many options are there, and they can change each year. There may be some drop off, there can be a new one, or existing ones have modified their coverage. So there have been cases on this program where someone has looked into it and they called and told us later, I was happy with my plan, but I looked into it anyway, and I found another plan that is the exact same thing, and it's saving me such and such.
Yes.
It's always worth checking.
Yeah. And one thing that we've found with the Medicare counseling program is that when people check their plans, we can save them a lot of money, like when they make those checks, rather than just staying in the one that they first chose.
It's just worth looking into it. And if not, you stay on the one that you're happy with, I suppose. All right. You know, I wanted to touch on just the idea of staffing shortages, how many you have on staff and the like. And you said, well, Nick, we have volunteers.
We do have volunteers.
Tell me about that and how someone can maybe get into that, or what you'd be doing. It seems a little overwhelming.
Well, to stay in the same lane where we're talking now, we have volunteers that are really critical to our Medicare counseling program. We have some volunteers that have been with us for years and are as well educated and resourced and seasoned as our paid staff. And actually, I saw the other day, I'm thinking of Nancy, that individuals that call on a regular basis request our volunteers.
They know them.
They
They've
build
been there
relationships with them. They're checking back in, and
that's
so
awesome.
It's awesome. And so there's levels of being a Medicare volunteer with us. You can, you know, just be someone that kind of has a surface level understanding of the program, and you're going out and doing things like this and promoting the opportunity to bring people in.
Will you brief them then? I mean, like, let's say if I wanted to be a volunteer for the Medicare program, I mean, I have a basic knowledge, but I wouldn't feel comfortable counseling someone right now. So.
Right. We have training tiers, so different levels of volunteering. So there's a level 1, and there's a certain amount of training you get. That's the more surface. This is what it is. This is how it works.
Gotcha.
You know, and all the way up to 18 hours a year, learning everything. What we're talking about when new information comes out, they do update training every year to understand the program, the plans as they change, and so they are as knowledgeable about this program as anybody else. Now, what's been really, even from my perspective, having come to work with this organization, is that, I'm not Medicare eligible yet, but my parents are. And so I learned a lot about the program and what to expect to just counsel my parents through my just base level volunteer training, if you will. And so it's a really good opportunity for people to learn about the program for yourself or for others, but also to give back and engage with others.
Yeah, you make a great point. You're doing it hopefully because you have a good heart and you want to help others and learn, but at the same time, you've got a background that's going to serve you well when you deal with your parents, and that's part of it. So many people put all of these things off until it becomes a crisis. And usually it's not the seniors themselves, especially if they're suffering from dementia at one point. They don't recognize where they're at, and they're not going to want to change. No one wants to change. It's the loved ones that have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And I guess you would both say, when you start observing this, you need to start researching it ahead of time, because the more prepared you are.
Yeah. And the more conversation you have as a family, so if an individual has that support of their family, the more conversations you can have as a family and make those plans, even if you don't need help right now, but kind of know what your parents want. And so when that time comes, you can make better decisions, ones that they're more comfortable accepting. It's a hard conversation.
Well, and it is. It's tough.
It makes a big difference in enacting those decisions.
And caregiver, support is really important. You think about caring for the loved one, but caregivers can be overwhelmed. Now, you have services to help on that. That I guess can double for services for the actual patient or elderly person themselves. Transportation, meals, things like this. Talk about what you offer to caregivers.
Yeah, well, I'll touch on it briefly and let Sara talk more in depth. But we do have partners that provide transportation, and we provide the funding for them to offer transportation to adults to get to and from grocery stores or to doctor's appointments, things like that.
So we're talking about people here that maybe have been deemed unsafe to drive anymore. Okay, I mean, their license been taken away, or maybe their loved one said, give me your keys, Dad. And that's no more for them.
Or they just chose themselves. They're not.
They're not comfortable driving anymore. So then, okay, this could be a van that comes to the...
There's different programs. There's two really great programs in the region right now that are independent. The Senior Ride Nashville and, and Senior Ride Wilson. And those are volunteer-based programs where you drive seniors, older adults, as needed. And then also we work with like We Go Transit and other programs too. So.
Yeah, just okay. So the caregiver assistance. Okay, transportation's one certainly. I don't know if there's meals that can be provided, and how is that delivered? Is there, what do you?
So we work with Mid-Cumberland Human Resource Agency and Metro Social Services to provide home delivered meals across the 13 counties.
Okay.
So those can be for older adults that can't leave their home, or they can't cook, and it also helps a caregiver. It relieves them of cooking that one meal, because anything you can take off a caregiver is wonderful, because their job is 24/7. They don't get holidays off.
Right.
They just don't get time off unless somebody comes in to care for that individual. And so a lot of our caregiver programs, that's what we're doing. We're coming in for a block of time so that caregiver can go do something for themselves, take a nap, just read a book, whatever it is that can allow them to have that space to relax and have a bit of time for themselves. Caregivers are so important. You think because you look at the nursing home, and we talked about the labor shortage, the staffing shortage. If somebody didn't have a caregiver, they might be in a nursing home.
Right.
And so that person doesn't want to be in a nursing home. They'd rather be home with their, loved one. And so that caregiver allows them to age where they want to be, to live where they want to be, and then it takes that burden off of the nursing home and that staffing. So caregivers are so important, but it's like if you and we found that if you can provide just that little bit of support, even if it's 4 hours a week, that a caregiver can last so much longer having just that little bit of support rather than being completely isolated and cut off. Because what we found is a caregiver, a lot of times, once you're an older adult, your children have left the home, that's kind of your time to travel, to do the things you wanted to in your retirement. Well, maybe now you're caring for your parent. Well, your friends, we found that they lose their friends. They get isolated because they can't go out, and their friends can't relate because it's just a different world.
Oh, it is, yeah.
So we also really like for caregivers to get involved in support groups, to meet other people that are having those same struggles and same issues. And because sometimes it's hard because some people are forced into being caregivers. And so to feel resentful of their loss of their life, that's not a bad thing. That's just a human thing.
Right.
And so to help them understand that that's a normal emotion, getting them connected in the support groups is such a huge thing, and also to keep those caregivers going.
So true. Listen, we'll take a break on that note. We'll come back, our final segment with our guests, maybe a few more calls right after this. Stay with us.